Good evening. Welcome to Right Talk with Mike Lee in my continuing effort to bring you some news and programming and topics of interest with discussions with people of interest. I have with me this evening a good friend and brother of mine, I believe, from Eastside Church of Christ. His name is Roger Davis. Roger is he's the National Association of Black Accountants. You're an officer there. What's that office?
Yes, I'm honored to be the Western Region President. So that's 7 chapters in major metropolitan areas in the west side of the United States, and just honored to do so to serve our community and the nation abroad.
In the Western Region, so to speak?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, NABA, National Association of Black Accountants.
Does that include California?
Yes, it does.
So you know accountants in California and Colorado and all of that, right?
Yes, yeah. Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Arizona, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and Nevada pretty much make up the West. NABA has 4 regions. Eastern, Southern, Central, and Western. So, and I work with the Western region, effective 7/1 of this year.
Okay, that's like the NCAA tournament basketball division. But which state probably has the most black accountants? Probably California, I'd guess.
Texas rivals California.
Really? In terms of number?
In terms of number of black accountants and black CPAs, and now in general, because NABA encompasses not only accountants but financial and business professionals as well. Now California may rival in some of the other finance and business professions, but Texas has a good number of black accountants, practicing, whether for themselves as CPAs or working in the public or private sector for other firms.
I would imagine they're probably concentrated in Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, in the major areas.
Right, in the major cities, and major 4 cities of Houston, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio, where you'll find the majority of them.
Now that is not the only hat that you wear, Roger, because I often get, I think often would qualify be the way to say it, emails from you about job opportunities for African Americans in Austin area.
Yes, and in different leadership roles with NABA, because it is a membership organization. For them to pay that annual membership, they want some return on that, and so over the time, I've kind of built up a little network with some other great people here in Austin through the Black Professional Alliance. Mm-hmm. And because accountants usually don't get business from other accountants, as they may get a referral, mm-hmm. but the person they do business with is not the accountant; it's someone else. Mm-hmm. So always trying to build our network. It helps, NABA. It helps our members and me personally and his family as well. So anytime that I can get good information on jobs for other people, mm-hmm. on great business or social networking events, um, just good connections for our people, because there's great opportunity out there. But the key is the timing of matching the talent to the opportunity.
And networking enhances that opportunity, does it not?
Most definitely. Most definitely. All of us have the same 24 hours in a day to work with, but there's a lot going on, and you got to redeem the time.
And you wear that hat. Now, where do you work regularly for yourself?
I been blessed to work with 3M.
Mhm.
Is the official name now, but it's short for Minnesota Manufacturing and Mining, and I've been blessed to work with them for 35 years. So.
Is that
So,
the 3M that make had the camera stuff and compute? It's computer related now, isn't it?
well, they make over 50,000 products. Most folk recognize when tell them about Scotch tape.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, Post-it notes, because those are products that are close to the end consumer. Whereas 3M makes a lot of products that the end consumer uses, but we sell a portion of the end product to, a different manufacturer who uses our product in their product and then sells it to you. So that's why sometimes the general public may not know about 3M, but it's not abnormal for a person to be surrounded by 3M products.
Is it centered and based in Austin or in New York or elsewhere?
Well, we have 4 key divisions here in Austin. 3M is made up of over 20 divisions that all act like different companies, and the global headquarters is in St. Paul, Minnesota. But the divisions are located in different areas, and so our 4 divisions are headquartered right here. And I did work in the St. Paul, Minnesota area for about 2.5 years before I transferred here to Austin in January of 1987.
I bet you were glad to get out of that cold, weren't you?
And I definitely enjoyed it. I guess going to school at Florida A&M spoiled me for the warmth, because I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you need to take care of your family, you make do anywhere.
So you went cold, warm again.
That's right.
No,
That's right.
cold, warm, cold, and then burning hot. It's July.
But a lot of good people here. So married, 3 kids. So it's been a blessing.
Oh, well, good.
It's been a blessing.
Well, I said you wore many hats because I think for a time, before I got transportation when I first moved here, you used to drive the church bus for Eastside Church of Christ, right? You picked me up a couple of times.
That's right. Still do, but because I'm a little older now, I've got several brothers to assist me. So when I picked you up, I might have been the only one, but I don't do that all the time anymore.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No. So I have thankfully got some other good brothers to assist in that effort.
So Austin Black Accountants have their own. They have a organization here in Austin.
Yes, the NABA has 50 professional chapters, as well as 150 student chapters around the nation, and one of them is right here, the Austin Syntax chapter. Has been around since 1986, so and it's been functioning greatly here. Matter of fact, I was blessed to be one of the presidents when I started out initially in 1990 as a treasurer and president in various roles in NABA, and so great. The Austin chapter does a lot of great functions here in town. They have an annual financial fitness seminar that the next one, matter of fact, is coming up the last Saturday in October this year. We have an annual scholarship luncheon, give out scholarships. That usually happens in April every year. We give out scholarships to deserving students, usually to the chapters that we mentor. All the professional chapters usually mentor certain student chapters, and we have student chapters at University of Texas at Austin, Houston-Tillotson University, Texas State University, and University of Texas at San Antonio. So a lot of good effort, and then of course we encourage them to participate in some of our even larger events, our Western Region Student Conference and our annual national convention. So a lot of great opportunity for our students. There's a lot of great professions out there, but if a student wants to get into accounting, finance, or business, it'll provide a great quality of life, and NABA provides a pipeline, from their home through high school, college, and throughout their professional career.
Is it, Roger, is it a challenge getting sponsorships or corporate support here in Austin at all?
No, you've got to be, wise and tactical about it. But companies need quality people with, the good business acumen that's provided in accounting, finance, and business, because everyone needs to know where the numbers were to this point and how the numbers will hopefully flourish going forward. And even though people may have the talent to do it, they may not want to do it. And so they call on our professionals and our students to provide that service.
I have to ask you this because of the history of Texas, in part because of my own personal history. When I was in law school, when I went to law school in Dallas in '74,
Mm-hmm.
the number of black lawyers that were working in Dallas, you could really count, literally count on your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And now in Dallas, you can't even begin to count on your hands. I know that we once had a meeting with candidate for Governor Bill Clements.
Mm-hmm.
It was Black Lawyers Association in Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
and there were 6 of us there.
Okay.
And I saying that with that in mind, how have you seen the growth of the number of black accountants in Austin compared to when you started and now?
Well, we've been, very pleased to connect with them. There are a lot of them here, and something that you mentioned that kind of lends to the history of NABA, because of the numbers were so low. NABA started in 1969 by 9 black CPAs. They met and at someone's home, and that's how NABA got started, to provide, the mentorship, the pipeline, to help more get into this profession. Mm-hmm. And so, the Austin chapter has been as large as almost 60 members, and the Houston and Dallas chapters have gone over 100 member mark, which is fantastic. Of course, we've got our eye on San Antonio, but we haven't yet got a chapter started there. So usually those members will affiliate with one of the other 3, but hopefully one day we can get one started in San Antonio as well.
I know when I was first in law school, eons, what seems like eons ago, I was 22 then.
Mm-hmm.
It's 45 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When my idea of coming to Texas was like an adventure to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, to me, going to new land from Ohio.
Okay.
Because what I was trying to escape the snow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when I was in Dallas in law school at SMU, in January 1975, it snowed, and I was mad because I thought, dang it, I didn't go far enough south. But to me, Texas represented the opportunity to face a challenge, because it was challenging as a black attorney in Texas early
Okay.
on.
Okay.
And it is still,
Mhm.
and will probably always be. It's just the nature of the profession. I don't believe that the accounting profession would be any different.
Mhm.
Would my guess be correct or not?
Well, well, I can only share my personal story. You know, every location has their challenges, but I heard a lot of good things about the growth of business in Texas, and of course you knew about the warm weather and that kind of thing. And so when I was in school at Florida A&M, um, in interviewing, and my own research, I found out that they were opening a site in Austin, Texas. So that was one of the reasons I was willing to, uh, interview and thankfully get hired on. And when I started in St. Paul, Minnesota, but my plan all along was in roughly around 5 years transfer to Texas.
Get to some warm weather, huh?
Right, exactly. And two, I was single at the time, so the best time to try it out is when you don't necessarily have any ties.
Yeah.
You know, because it's hard when you're picking up family and moving them around. So the best time, because I mean, I could always go back home
Mhm.
if I needed
So
to.
you went to 3M straight out of FAMU?
Straight out.
I call it FAMU because I have family in South Florida. I know what it is. Okay?
That's right, that's
It's
right.
FAMU, it ain't Florida A&M.
That's right. That's
Except
right. You know.
My best friend Tim Hoyles, his father went to Florida A&M. He said, Florida A&M, FAMU.
That's right.
I
That's
knew about FAMU before I was 10 years old. But I didn't know that I didn't understand you had gone straight from FAMU to Minnesota.
Mhm.
That had to be a heck of a change.
Yeah, yeah, but you know,
You could not have been prepared for those winters.
right. Well, you know, it's hard to know completely the journey that the Lord has planned for you.
Yeah, but then you
And,
started in Chicago, so you kind of got broken.
Yeah,
You kind of
yeah,
broken in.
yeah,
But that Minnesota, they talking about below zero like crazy.
and well, you know, like my dad told me, and I tell my kids, you don't want to come home broke. Whatever you learn in life, you want to put it to use
Uh-huh.
so that you can take care of yourself and your family.
And you have 3 kids?
Yeah, 3. You know, one is, and they all seem to have working on their dreams, and that's great. You know, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be waking you up anymore. When you get old, you got to wake yourself up and go to work.
Now, speaking of Eastside Church of Christ, how are things? I don't get there as regularly as I used to when I lived in Austin. I now live in San Marcos.
Okay. Well, congratulations on your new home situation, and I mean, things are exciting. You know, I'm starting to miss a few weekends because of travel, but you know, when I got back, there was, you know, a couple baptisms and a couple people placed membership. So I mean, it's just constantly growing, and they're about to, you know, you've seen the first phase completed, the brand new building. And parking lot and so forth. So now they've got the plans up for the second phase,
Okay.
and they'll be working on the education wing. And so you know, growth is always exciting.
Well, I'm gonna have Brother Williams and some of the other brothers on from Eastside somewhere down the road in the not too distant future. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm sure he's got some great things to share. Yes, indeed.
Well, where do you see the future going as far as black accounts in Austin? Where do you see what kind of future do they have here now?
Well,
I know
with the-
Austin's growing, but the reason I asked that, Roger, is this. You and I both know, and I understood because I was on the African American Resource Advisory Commission, that the African American population in Austin itself is shrinking,
Mhm.
but it's growing in Pflugerville, and it's the surrounding areas.
Well, you're an example. You're
Yeah.
living in San Marcos now.
Yeah.
And coming from, you know, poorer circumstances from maybe some of the bigger cities where you pretty much all lived in the same area, and now you know, African Americans, blacks, whatever the right term is now, they're affluent enough where they, you know, they want their own little castle. They want their own little piece of land and territory, and you can't necessarily do that in the city. So
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing. You know, and that's another reason that goes to the opportunity, because of that growth and opportunity. Um, uh, you know, that also turns into clients who can afford to pay your fee. So you being a lawyer and me being in the accounting profession, you want to help everyone,
Yeah,
but everything can't be free.
right.
You know, you got to have a few clients that's gonna pay, and in a growing city like Austin, surrounding greater Austin areas, you mentioned Pflugerville and Round Rock and Buda, Kyle, and those kind of areas. You know, you have great opportunity to, you know, either work for a firm, another firm that will pay you a good salary, or to put out your shingle, and so that is great opportunity. For accountants and financial and business counseling people, great opportunity. And there's more people, for some reason they must, I see every day on the news that this is the place to be.
Yeah.
This is the place to be. And so that, that's good news if you're in the accounting, finance, or business field.
Digressing away from law and accountancy per se, there's been a lot of some talk recently about reparations. How you feel about that?
And well,
I know this is not in either of our areas. It's just something that I had a phone call a couple weeks ago about it. The guy was real hyped up about it.
mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, talking about reparations, how you put the number down? Number one, how do you calculate the number?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, well, if you could take 40 acres on you and just give me the interest, I'm cool. But that would essentially bankrupt any government.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, there are a lot of causes people can get behind without knowing the facts. It's tough to side on either side. I definitely want people to be treated, justly and as much as possible fairly. 'Cause when there's someone making a decision and there's limited resources, somebody's not going to be happy. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. Just touching on another subject, you got people who are, being moved out of Austin because they can't afford the taxes.
Yeah.
On the one hand, that's a bad thing. You want to care for those seasoned saints, those old soldiers who really built this place. You want them to be taken care of. But then again, somebody has to pay for the services.
Well,
So there's a happy medium that has to be found.
Austin to me is getting real interesting because you have these high, really exorbitant property taxes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you're going to have the high rollers, let's say high rollers in Austin, but then you have all these homeless people
Yeah.
who, according to the latest ordinance, can sleep anywhere they want, in front of your house, anywhere.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it's going to make for a mess, frankly, in my opinion. It's going to make for a mess. You're going to have people of means in Austin. They're going to have to step over people not of means. And I don't know that that's really a healthy situation.
Yeah, well, that situation definitely needs a lot of prayer, and for those people, but also for our leaders, in trying to make the right decision. Because a lot of churches have homeless ministries and so forth, But you need some training to do those kind of ministries because, some might be easy fixes because maybe just someone with talent just fell on hard times.
Yes.
So they just might need a connection here or there.
And there's some who
You
need
know,
mental health services. Really.
Exactly. And so if someone who's fell on hard times, who's in the same professional circle that I'm in, I can give a lot more help than someone in a different area. And then of course I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor. So if someone has some mental issues, well, see, and of course, to provide those services, you can only provide them free for so long. So that needs a lot of prayer, a lot of planning.
I don't know a lot of Bible, but I do recall a lot from Sunday school, and I remember a lot from Brother Williams' sermons, quite frankly.
Uh-huh.
And I knew there's a point that says that the poor will always be among us.
That is correct. That is correct, and that it's unfortunate. Another favorite scripture is, "Without vision, the people perish," and you can't blow a broad brush over everybody who's homeless.
Mm-hmm.
But I would imagine a good portion of them, didn't see what was coming, and didn't plan for it, and so that's why, the church or family is so important. I mean, getting away from church and family, because any hard times can fall on anybody.
Yes, of course.
And no one should not have a place to lay their head, and at least have a simple meal. I mean, it may not be steak and lobster, but hopefully you can get some beans and rice somewhere, and but because out in the elements like that, that's just not safe. That's just not safe.
Roger, I remember when I was 8 years old in third grade, and my teacher talking about mentioning how hard life was. I'm 8 years old. I don't know anything about anything, but I said, I hope that's not for me. And I've done everything I could in my power to try to avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter how hard you try to avoid it, bad things can happen to good people.
Exactly. And so I'm not. That's why I say I wouldn't, put a brush over everything, because every situation has to be taken individually. Because just recently in the news, there have been earthquakes, there have been, fires and tornadoes,
And we know it's all Trump's fault, right?
and I'm sure that there's some people who were planning and were doing good things,
Mm-hmm.
and so, it's going to take a village or a community to help fix that too. It can't be all left on the government, and hope and NABA. That's one of our programs that we have locally.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned earlier our financial fitness seminar. That's NABA's way. That's open to the whole community. It's totally free.
And it's free, isn't it?
Totally free.
Who sponsors that?
And
NABA
NABA has several
connection with those.
sponsors.
Who are those sponsors?
Like Regions Bank, Frost Bank, 3M. We have Financial Fitness Greater Austin, the Alliance for Economic Inclusion,
I know they had
FDIC.
something at the church, a financial fitness thing at the church.
And a lot of churches have offer services as well, and that's our way of using our talent, that people can come and learn the necessary tools. You may not become a billionaire, but you might at least move from nothing to sustainability. Everybody should get to the point where they have a place to stay and a simple meal, but there's certain basic financial knowledge that everybody needs to do that, and you can't assume that everybody has it. Can't assume that, and that's why we offer that free service, and we're thankful to our sponsors for supporting that.
There's some basic developments socially that really concern me. the breakdown of family is number one.
Mhm.
Number two is the expectation that someone owes you anything,
Mhm.
that you're not responsible for your self-responsibility, I guess would be.
Mhm.
And the other one is there seems to be, not seems to be, there is, to me, in fact, a turning away from biblical ideas and biblical principles, turning away from God.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's almost as though Christianity is being outlawed.
Mhm. Yeah. You bring up a good point, and like I like to say to people, long before Social Security came along, God's Social Security plan was you to have and raise God-fearing children, so that, not to say that you might ever need it, but if you, in your older years, you would have hard-working, caring children to take care of you in your later years.
Who remember that you took care of them when they were young.
Exactly. And because, you can think, well, when I get old, I'll pay for somebody to take care of me. But as you get older, turning over your complete financial wealth and information to another individual, that's a risky proposition. You can, and you hear stories about different senior citizens being taken advantage of. Now, of course, in the accounting, finance, and business field, there are a lot of laws that we can lose our license if we mistreat seasoned saints and so forth. But in a lot of other professions, that's not the case. And so I don't want to throw any other profession under the bus, but
You can throw mine under the bus anytime you wish.
But like I say, anytime you completely give over your financial information to another individual, that better be someone who's very trustworthy and loving and caring for you. And so, so like you just mentioned about, in this world, the breakdown of the family, not valuing having families and raising God-fearing children, and while you're young and you're vibrant and doing things, you can boastfully say that, but when you get old and let that time pass, you find a lot of people wish they hadn't done that.
Well, I'm trying to reconcile a nation that's founded basically on Judeo-Christian principles, turning away from those principles and then wondering what's wrong and what's happening and why.
Yeah, well, I believe in our system. I think the American system is the greatest in the world. But like I learned in law class, I'm not a lawyer like you. I only had like one, maybe two classes. But our law instructor, because made this state one, and I may be paraphrasing a little bit. No matter how perfect the law is written, if one or two of the individuals executing that law are not of good honesty and integrity, the law still won't work. Its intent won't work.
That's a separate show that I'm working on putting together, because I think there are certain ethical challenges that my profession faces,
and that's the same thing.
They are not doing a good job at all.
Exactly, and see, in America, every American is allowed to vote and to provide their opinion and to make sure that as we enact laws, they are just and they're fair and equitable and thus and so. But that assumes that everybody wants to be fair and just. And
that assumes a certain kind of individual.
Exactly. See, it assumes that. So if an individual, has certain moral standards and those kind of things, but if they don't have that,
you can't have moral standards anymore. That's judgmental.
Exactly. So all you gotta do is get you a group big enough to vote your way. And you can end up with some strange things. So.
I've seen some nice T-shirts. I saw a guy with a T-shirt one. They said, "If you think I'm judgmental, wait till you meet God." and someone said, they said they were offended by the T-shirt. Everyone's offended by everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, to think that everything can be right doesn't make sense. I mean, some people feel offended if you try to recommend, a better way to them. And of course, it's still their choice to follow it.
Well, men are imperfect.
Yeah, yeah. But,
So to me, why should you expect perfection from an imperfect creation?
yeah, well, we are imperfect, but that doesn't excuse us from not striving for perfection. So
Yeah, you strive.
Yeah, I strive. Everybody should strive.
And you strive, but you should realize that you may not be able to achieve it.
And that's fine. That's fine.
But
that's fine.
When people are groomed to expect it, to
Yeah.
me that's like a step too far.
Well, yeah, no, I think the good word teaches that we should have patience and forgiveness, and we should work together toward that goal. So if you move into the realm of self-righteousness, thinking that I have all the answers, and someone else is not living up to my standard, that's ridiculous. I need your help. Hopefully I'm doing something that's helpful to you, and vice versa to the community at large and our family. We're in this together, and I think if we have that loving, unified thought, we'll work to a solution that'll be helpful to everyone. Now, of course, your home is your castle. What you decide to do, there, assuming you're being safe and good to people who are living with you. But once you step out of your home and you're with others, well, then we've got to come together on those decisions. If we went out tomorrow and all the stoplights weren't working, we'd have some problems.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do Austin Black Accountants have a? I'm sure there are programs that they have going on year round. Is there a highlight event that they have?
Well,
You mentioned a scholarship event. Is there any other event that they have?
Well,
And are they in connection with any other, like the Black Lawyers, Austin Black Lawyers and Black Council?
right. Well, and you mentioned a good point. Some people, when they first get here, they think there's nothing going on, but I mean, believe me, there is more than enough for African Americans, for blacks to get involved in. We usually have here in Austin about 4 or 5 key events that we push our members to participate in, because we know they got many other choices. Whether it be school, work, their own personal family, their own other hobbies, and those kind of things. So our fiscal year is July 1 through June 30 every year. And so usually in July through September, our professionals and our student members will have some kind of membership event. We may do it ourselves, or we may combine with, the Black Lawyers, Black Engineers, we may combine with the other accounting organizations, because as well. And usually October through December, that's when our financial fitness seminar usually occurs. That's when our Western Region Student Conference occurs. So great opportunity there. Then in the January through March timeframe, we usually might have elections, maybe another nice membership event. Of course, that's Black History Month. So if we usually kind of pair with some other organizations, in that month, because there's so much going on in in February. So we usually combine our membership effort with some of the other organizations. And then finally, April through June, that's when our own local scholarship event occurs, as well as the national convention, which is a big event for professionals, but there's even a scholarship luncheon in that for students as well. So those are the usually, 4 to 5 things that we might specifically coordinate versus, 1 to 3 things that we might just combine or collaborate with another organization, which sharing the wealth saves money and can help benefit, so that's usually how our calendar flows throughout the year.
I have decided recently I guess my birthday present to myself was to try to learn to play golf.
Okay.
I'm an aspiring golf hacker.
Okay.
I aspire to be a hacker.
Uh-huh.
Can that play a role in a positive role in developing positive relationships between and among black organizations? I know I met a lawyer recently, Robert Kane. I know he golfs, and I know John Butler, the professor at UT. I know he golfs. Is there you mentioned we mentioned off the air before the show started about golf, and you said you can socialize with it.
Yeah.
Is that a good tool?
Well, in most business schools now they offer golf, as an elective.
Really?
Oh yes, and because it has been and it still remains as a good networking tool with management and senior management at companies and firms, and so.
And B schools offer it?
Oh yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Oh
I bet
yeah.
it's been a while.
So, and it's encouraged. You got to set aside the time, and then even if you don't have the time, a lot of our organizations are, calling the Austin Black Lawyers Association, for example, they have an annual scholarship golf event, and usually at these events they also offer, best ball tournaments. So even if you haven't, practiced to the point where you're a scratch golfer with no handicap, you can participate on the best ball team, where they usually are teams of like roughly 4, and every team will have one person that's really good.
This is good.
And everybody else, they can be hacking away.
Right.
And and of course, one of those other 3, once in a blue moon, they'll hit it real
It's
good.
4-man team, right?
4-man team, and of course, usually the best shot is the good golfer on the team. So that's what keeps it moving. So if the other 3 are hitting them in the trees, it doesn't matter because you're still kind of moving along. And then once in a while, the other 3, they'll hit a good shot. And you use their ball.
And when it comes to putting, they want the first putter to put past the hole so they can see what's happening, right?
Yeah.
That's what Robert told me at lunch one day.
Yeah. And so, but while you're doing it, you're having good networking time, good discussion, getting to know on people on your team.
So you're gonna be on the course about how long, you say?
And usually those are probably not 9. They're not 18 holes. They're usually maybe 9 holes.
9, okay.
So you can get more teams on the course.
Okay.
And it's great fun, and so and I usually participate in those because I haven't, maybe when I retire, I'll have a little more time to improve a little bit. But if I never do, there's plenty of golf tournaments that usually happen throughout the year that I can participate in.
Where do you see the future for accountants in Austin? How do you see that? You think it's bright, or it's going to be tough as it was in '69, or what?
Well, I think it's bright.
It's getting easier.
You're talking to an optimist. So if an individual, first you got to put in the time and learn your craft. That's in any profession. You got to learn your craft, and if you're willing to lay the groundwork and network, let people know the skills that you excel at, I've talked to a lot of my colleagues, and one good friend of mine, and his mother attends our church.
East Side?
But he lives in San Antonio. His name is Brian Williams. He said he'd love to support me and support the efforts, what NABA does, because it's a great cause.
Mm-hmm.
But he says his client list is booked. I mean, he just, he's at the point right now that he may change, but he doesn't have any room for any extra clients.
Uh-huh.
So, and Austin and surrounding areas, so they're still growing, and but of course, an individual they gotta put in the time to know their craft. They gotta market themselves to the right clientele, and I think the future's bright. Whether you're a large firm, medium firm, or you just like to be yourself or with one or two people, I think the market is great.
Are the larger firms more inclined to hire black associates now than in the past? I know that's true in the legal profession. I was at a party once, and there were some law students there. We were talking about where they working. They were clerking. When I was in law school, a black law student working in a white law firm was unheard of.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I mentioned earlier, one of our signature events is our student conferences, and we actually have one in each of our regions. In the East, the Central, the South, and the Western. Of course, being the Western Region president, the one I publicize most is the Western Region, and the major firms are there recruiting our young professionals, our young students coming out of college, so that's proof positive.
That's a great
that
thing.
the demand is there. Now, of course, like I say, if our students do their part and get them the grades, preparing themselves, great opportunity for them. And it's no different. Now, of course, if you go to school and you party hardy and you got a 2.0001,
it's not cutting it.
it's not going to cut it, because those firms, I mean, they're expecting, whether they hire Caucasian, African American,
They want performance. They want the work done.
They want diversity.
They want the
but
work
at the
done.
end of the day, they want performance.
They want the work done right.
They want work done right. So, and no matter what the color, race, ethnicity, the person has to be able to do the job.
I just know that there's been a sea change in the legal profession as far as diversity within the field.
Mm-hmm.
I almost want to say now there are probably just as many women lawyers are male lawyers,
Mm-hmm.
and there's certainly a few more black lawyers. Not a few more, a hell of a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, just recently I attended. There was a top black doctors event and a top black lawyers event, hosted by one of BPA's members, Made Media, Anita Roberts.
What's BPA?
BPA is short for Black Professional Alliance, and
Is that in Austin?
that's right here in Austin, and it's not a member organization. It's a collaboration of organization. It's an organization of organizations to make it a little easier to make sure individuals like yourself know the great things that are being done by great black organizations here in Austin, and so that those two events let me know and let others know.
So it's
there's
like
plenty of black lawyers and black doctors here in Austin.
Okay.
Whether you know of them or not, they're here.
So they get together, they meet together, what, once a month, once a quarter, something like that?
Well, the different organizations meet, I'm sure, monthly,
Uh-huh.
but the BPA, we just meet bi-monthly. You know, try not to. Everybody has so many meetings to
Yeah,
attend,
right.
so try to overload. So we just meet bi-monthly and to collaborate calendars and.
My mom, whose picture you saw during the intro, she said, "You want to meet Jesus?" She said, "It's only meet you." Joking. I'm not trying to meet him. I'm trying to put that off as long as I can.
Alrighty.
I kind of like it. I kind of like what little I do know about this existence.
There you go. There you go.
But I am looking forward to getting more back in the swing of things, and also I kind of hadn't been
Okay. Well,
been in the mix
sounds
as
like
much
you've
as I
been
used to.
setting up your new castle, your new home.
Yeah. I just want to get to the cows, bro. It's peaceful and quiet out there.
Okay.
But I guess my last thing I want to talk to you about is like, as far as your children go, are they college age now?
Yeah, they pretty much finished with college, and you know, two are in the Army Reserves.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one just got hired, and the others who are in the Army Reserves are kind of doing that and working. So
That's the one thing I wish I had done. Looking back, I wish I had taken the time to get some military experience. But I was a young man in a big hurry. I was in a huge hurry. I was 8 years old looking at, I'll be out of school and I'm 25. I'm 8 years old, I'm looking at 17 years. I don't know how an 8-year-old wrap his mind around that, but that's what I had in mind. I knew so little about the military, I didn't even know you got paid in there. If I knew it or known that, I probably would have gone in for sure. All I know is when it's college time, go to college, I want to go to the military, I want to go to college, get that out the way. Now, probably would have been ideal to go to the military after college, because I understood that you go in as an officer and all that good stuff.
yeah,
But most of my brothers have military experience, two of us who don't.
yeah. Well, pretty much there's 4 ways that most folk make it in life. You know, one of them is the kind of the lucky or just naturally talented. You know, because you can either shoot a jump shot, or you can paint, or you stumble on gold. And but really, the other 3 ways are either the military, trade school, or college. You know, those are usually you should go in one of those 3 areas, because the 4th way is not guaranteed. Winning the lottery,
Luck is like a lady, can't rely
being able
on
to hit a home run, you know, everybody can't do that. So, military, trade school, or college, you know, should be something everybody should have in mind. And if they luck up and hit the 4th one, that's great, but that's not guaranteed.
You get lucky in the process of those other things.
That's right. Well, you studied to be a lawyer, but now you're on TV, so you got to do your 4th.
Yeah, when I made up my mind long time ago. Not a long time ago. I guess I was in my 20s, 30s. And I thought, I wouldn't mind practicing till I'm like 90. I just think I want to be the oldest man to roll up to the courthouse. There's old Attorney Lee. I think he signed a Declaration of Independence and maybe the Magna Carta. He's so old, but it was always that the thing to me.
Okay.
That or basketball. It's the next best thing to basketball.
Okay. Yeah. Well, everybody should have their dream and their vision. Something should have you, you know, be glad. First, just be glad to be alive, but then, you know, once you're up, there should be something that drives you.
I want to thank you for coming on the show, Roger. I got to have you back on. I got to get Brother Williams on too.
Okay,
Okay?
I know he'll love that.
Not as much as me.
It's
I like talking with you, brother.
been a pleasure.
Good talking to you, man.